Let me tell you what's changed in this holiday market. This is Dean Odell with 7 Gables Real Estate and the Odell Group. Today is December 12th. We're in the depths of that holiday market, and I want to tell you what we're seeing. So stay tuned. We're going to go to the slides right now and look at the market data for Orange County. Let's get started right now. Okay, so we're starting with the active listing inventory year over year, and you can see today we are following that red line of 3,629 homes that are currently on the market. You can see that that is dramatically down from last 2 weeks, right? I mean, we're almost at 3,900. So this is the time of year where people start pulling their houses off the market. You could see where we were last year. We had about 11% less inventory on the market last year. Then we look at the 3-year average was almost 5,000. So if you look where we are relative today, we still have almost 1,400 homes less than the 3-year average prior to COVID. So we're still not really in a normalized market as far as inventory goes for the time of year it is, because this is looking at the same month last year and the years before. So that's where we are right now on the red line. So the next slide is demand year over year. If we look at where we are now, today, it's 1,247, where last 2 weeks it was 1,400 that were currently in escrow. Last year it was 1,310. So the argument there is there was more inventory for buyers to choose from, obviously, but interest rates were higher. So we're gonna talk about that too, because people are missing opportunity right now if they're looking for a home and they're just getting into that holidays mode, right? And when I say days, I mean D-A-Z-E. But for the buyers that are out there, now's the time that you should be really thinking about putting an offer out if you can find the time to work with an agent and get a house, right? So looking at where we were 3 years ago, we were at 1,774, of course. So we had 1,400 more homes for people to choose from, and then we had 500 more sales. So let's go to the next slide. This tells us what our expected marketing time is, and today it is 87 days. 2 weeks ago it was 84, so again, we're slowing down. Last year it was only 70 days, so we're a little more than 2 weeks longer to get a home sold, following that red line. And then if you look at the 3-year average, we are right where we should be prior to COVID, 87 days and 87 days. So that's a normalized market. Even though we have the supply and the demand at different levels, they're still balancing themselves out to be, as far as time is concerned and market conditions are concerned, a fairly balanced market. I mean, if you look at the legend above there, you'll see that a balanced market starts at 90 days, and we're right there. But let's talk about where the real divide is happening in the market, and the next slide is going to demonstrate that. We don't need to worry about all these other areas except for Orange. That's where we are. So if you look at the expected marketing time in Orange for attached properties, attached would be condos and homes that are obviously attached, and then detached is next to it. So in Orange, we got 95 days of an attached market and 82 days of a detached market. So you can see it's actually taking longer to get like condos and attached homes sold than it is just regular detached homes. And we're going to talk about why that is here in a minute. You know, I've been doing this a long time, 35 years, and our market, Orange County, usually follows the Bay Area. So if you look at where the Bay Area is, you can see that it's actually taking even longer for them to get homes sold. But in terms of the time on the market, it's pretty similar, 95 days versus 100 days. And then if you're curious, you can see what's going on in other counties and other markets. Things like Phoenix is kind of an interesting market, right? So you can freeze this slide, take a look at it. I'm gonna move on to the next one, and we're just gonna look at a quick graph of what it looks like for the attached versus detached expected marketing time. So if you look at the attached market, you can see that it's 95 days. The detached market is 82 days. But look at the end of that graph. See where that gap all of a sudden just opened up? And the reason being, I said I was going to talk about this a little bit better in detail a little later, but I'm going to explain to you why this difference is occurring. Then we go to just the overall market. We look at this slide and we say, okay, well, where is the market just by price range? And you can see that a balanced market, again, starts at 90 days. So when we look at this Orange County market, we could see that the balanced market is getting real close to that 1.5 to 2 million range. If you have a home that's priced less than that, then it's going to be either a hot seller's market or a slight seller's market. And this table shows where we are in each single price range. So we start getting into that deep buyer's market when you get over $2.5 million. But This is a little bit skewed right now because of the holiday season. Obviously, you've got a lot of people pulling their houses off the market. So it's as good a data as we can provide at this point in time. But remember, we are in a seasonal market here that traditionally slows down. Now I move to my advice for buyers and sellers. And I promised you guys I was going to tell you what the difference, what's going on with this attached detached market. Well, a lot of the attached homes are condos, right? You've got a lot of condos throughout the county, and there's been new regulation behind the condos. All the balconies have to be certified now as being safe. So that's become more regulation that's in that market. It's become more expenses for association owners to have to pay. So some of these associations are looking at that and saying, hey, we're just going to have a blanket assessment over the whole association and go ahead and divide that up, by the square footage of the house or whatever, to come up with a fair number. So if you're buying condos, you got to really look deep right now at what's going on in the associations, because the other thing is there's some associations, depending on where the house is located, they can't even get fire insurance. Those are really going to be good buys, but the issue is without a fire insurance, the only way to buy those places are with cash. So if you're interested in opportunities like that, we can tell you where those exist in our area that we service, which is pretty much all of Orange County. But either way, give us a call on that and we can explain that. Sellers, I know you guys are taking your house off the market to enjoy the holidays. A lot of you guys are going to be coming back on. Some of you expired almost 25 to 30% now are not selling their homes because, it's either presented incorrectly or it's priced incorrectly, or they had an agent that's maybe not too experienced in the business. All I can tell you is whatever we list, we sell. I can't even remember the last time we had an expired listing, and that's been going on for years. So anyway, if we can't agree on things up front, then we just part ways as friends, right? It's like, hey, this isn't gonna work. We'll give you the right advice you need to know. We don't know everything perfectly. We can't tell you exactly what the market's gonna absorb for your price, but we know that we know how to get top dollar for it. So give us a call, sellers, on that, and we'll help you out coming out of this year and into the new year. We'll get it all launched for you and ready. And then buyers, the one thing I want to tell you, this is the time of year without fail that we look back in the first quarter spring market and we look at the sales and we're like, wow, that was a really good buy. Because the sellers that really want to get to go somewhere, especially if they've got a house they've owned a long time, they got a ton of equity in it, and they just want to get it done, they're probably willing to take up maybe a little bit less now than they would have wanted earlier, because they understand it's the season and it's hard to get everything out of the house that they could get in a different time in the market. So I would encourage you to find yourself an agent. We got great agents that can help you, but let's find those sellers that we're not going to go in there and rip their head off, right? It's not like, hey, I want 20% off the price of market value. But you know what? You may get something a few percentage points down from what market value might be. All I can tell you is December buys are always the best buys, okay? And if you have a seller that wants to get out of here and the situation's right for them, they may just take it. Where in a market in the spring, they say to themselves, hey, you know what? Or even, come January, February, they're like, hey, I want to wait for the spring market before I start reducing my price or getting flexible or whatever. Let's get more people into the marketplace. If you're a seller, by the way, that thinks that way, just remember that, there is a sweet spot in the market. And yes, there may be more buyers that come back into the market after the first year, but there will also be more sellers, which means you're going to have more competition. So people ask me, when's the best time to sell a house? It depends. It depends on your micro market, what you're competing with, and we'll analyze all that for you if you give us a call. So that's it. I'm not sure if we're going to see you in 2 weeks or not. I'm going to have to talk to our editor because 2 weeks is, Christmas Eve. So we may not have this next week or in 2 weeks. I'll get back to you on that. Subscribe to this. You'll get it if we come out with the show. If not, it's going to be 2 weeks after that, which, oh my gosh, will be New Year's Eve. So we'll probably maybe even get something out in between. So just hit that subscribe button. This will come to you, and I will see you on the next Tustin Talks. Thanks. Bye-bye.